we on? Good morning, everyone. Oh, I know it's early, but that was really bad. Morning. Oh, that's so much better. Those of you who don't know me, I'm Candace Gardner. I'm the director for the Office of EMS here in New Jersey. So how many of you have come to this conference before? Wow. How many are new? Welcome to those of you who are brand new, and welcome back to those of you who've been here before. So thank you for supporting our event. I give a big, huge round of applause for all of you. I also want to thank our New Jersey Academy of Family Physicians, fellow state agencies, all of our staff, my team here in the Office of EMS. So you'll see them in the same color shirt that I am wearing up here. You'll see them throughout the conference. So please make sure that you introduce yourself to them. Let yourself know who they are and let them know if you have any questions or concerns. We have an office that's right outside our registration, or we have a booth in the event hall that you can go to. Has everybody gotten their bag? Not yet? Haha. So this actually sends you right to our exhibit hall when it opens at lunchtime. And once you get your bag, you have a card inside that bag. So if everybody wants an opportunity to win a free conference for next year, you'll have to find and orient yourself with some of our staff, and you get a stamp. So there's 3 individuals who have stamps from our office. So once you get that and you have 3 stamps and those individuals' names, please just drop that card off to any one of our staff members, and we'll select the winner at the conclusion of our keynote tomorrow, and you'll win a free conference for next year. Good? All right. So please don't forget to visit that exhibit floor. Also tonight at 6:30, we have our sim competition, sim finals. Don't miss out. It's free with your conference registration. So I was told yesterday that nobody knew that it was free with your conference registration. So make sure you do come because you don't have to pay extra for it. It's included. In addition to that, it is today in Avalon 8 and 9, which is upstairs. We have a blood drive going from 10 o'clock to 3 p.m. So if you are so moved to donate and give back, please do so. Take the time out of your day and go upstairs. Just make sure you've eaten first. All right. Finally, I'd like to express my gratitude to all of the generous sponsors, vendors, and suppliers, and my staff here, again, of course. Without them, this event would not be possible. And also without your feedback at the conclusion of the conference for each individual session, what can we improve upon? What did you enjoy? What do we need to get rid of? Please make sure you provide us with that feedback. And without further delay, I would like to introduce my friend and colleague, our opening keynote speaker, Ryan Greenberg. Ryan has spent the last 25 years working in EMS, from EMT to chief of EMS. Ryan has focused his career on building hospital-based EMS systems across the Northeast while always remaining an active paramedic, educator, and EMS advocate. Ryan believes for the EMS system to be successful, it must have engaged leaders, embrace innovation, measure quality, and always be willing to adapt to change to improve the system for patients, providers, and the community. Ryan received his undergraduate degree from Babson College and master's degree from Seton Hall University. Ryan spent 8 years on the National EMS Management Association Board, is a fellow of the American College of Paramedic Executives, and is the regional chair for the National Association of State EMS Officials. Please put your hands together and welcome Ryan Greenberg.
The mic's on, maybe not. Good morning. Oh, like she said, come on, good morning. Good morning. There we go. By the way, I am not a morning person. I am an overnight person, so if anybody wants to work an overnight with me, I'm normally much more energetic. But for this, and for Candace, and for all of you, Mornings are wonderful. Welcome to the New Jersey Conference. I am really excited to be here. I am a little bit concerned though, because as I'm standing in the back and I got to meet some of you, when a series of your old partners walks through the door and say, "Where do I sit so I can heckle you the entire time?" It's a little concerning. But, you know, I'm always up for a good challenge. So we're going to talk today about creating culture. And not only just creating culture, but creating a culture that inspires people, inspires your organization. As we start to talk about this and as we start to look at things in the future and where things are going, I want everybody to recognize it doesn't matter what you do in your organization or organizations. Maybe you're the chief in one and you're the EMT or the paramedic in the other. This is about what can you bring back to that organization and how do you help the culture in your organization or help evolve the culture in your organization. Or maybe your organization is perfect. And if your organization is perfect and you have the perfect culture, then you should be sharing that culture. And I truly mean that. There are some organizations out there that are phenomenal, and the culture that they have is just something that needs to be spread. It needs to be inspired. And so, quick disclaimer, all this content is representative of me, not any of my current employers. I have to give this slide, so just situational awareness. I have no financial disclosures that I have to tell you about or anything else on that one. And so there we go, we went through that official stuff. So when we talk about inspiration, we talk about the process of mentally stimulating or doing something that feels good and feels creative. And that's what we're going to talk about today. How do we inspire others and how do we inspire ourselves? We'll also talk a little bit about the other meaning in the word, which is breathing. We'll get to that in a few minutes. What does it look like? Well, I would say inspiration looks a little different to everybody. What might inspire you may be very different than what inspires your friend or your neighbor or your colleague. The person who is brand new to the organization, what do they normally do? They show up, they're like, woohoo, right? They're excited, their tail's wagging, they're like, ha, here we go, right? What about the person who's been there for 10 or 20 years? Another shift. And by the way, everything today, it doesn't matter if you're paid or volunteer. I still practice, I still ride, I still volley with my volunteer. This year was my 30th year with my volunteer organization. I was a practicing paramedic in New Jersey up until about a year and a half ago, and just unfortunately timing-wise had to unfortunately step back on that one. I'll be back, don't worry. I'm only in inactive status. And but it doesn't matter. If you're a career, you're volunteer, it's all the same thing, right? So like that brand new person walks in, and they walk in, and they're trying to figure out what's inspiring them. What's inspiring them is just being there. They're excited to be there. How quick can that inspiration disappear? This is the part that gets interactive. Fast, slow? Seconds. Why? Culture around them. Right? Like, you have that opportunity, but there's a small window to control that. There's that small window to turn and say, we are going to make this what you love and where you want to be, or we're going to make this the place that you're like, why am I here? And if there's not a good reason to be there, then what are they going to do? Probably leave, right? Or go find the culture that they want to be in. And so we need to look at that. We need to start to think about what inspires us to be there, what inspires us to do different things. What inspired you to get up at 8 o'clock in the morning and come to a conference? For me, it was the caffeine. For you, it might be the food outside. I don't know. Or maybe the line of state staff that's in the back of the room. If anybody wants to take a look at this one, turn around just 1 second. These are the people who made this conference possible. Can we give them a round of applause for a second? They not only woke up at 8 a.m., they also were texting at like evening hours last night, being like, are you here yet? Are you here yet? Are you here yet? I didn't get here till midnight last night. So, but what inspires us? What inspires you to get up at 8 a.m.? What inspires you to advance your education, to come to a conference and learn something different? These are things we're going to think about. Talk a little bit about inspiration. And in some cases, inspiring a person has a lot of different meaning to it, but it also has different ways to do it. So we talk about some of these, and the picture of real heroes don't wear capes, they're carrying a life pack 15, they're off to save something. And you turn and be like, ugh. But you know what? If you walk into a station and you see that, if you walk into a station and you see motivation in front of you, Is that a good thing? Sure. If you walk in, if you can figure out the way for your career to not be a job, or your volunteer time, to not be something that you're saying, oh, I'm giving up my time to be here, but rather something to be like, this is amazing, then that's great. That's where we want to be. That's where we want to drive things. When I look at my volunteer time, I love being in my volunteer squad. I've been there, it's been 30 years. They're like a second family to me. By the way, they're truly like a family to me. We have our ups and we have our downs. We have our crazy family members, and we have, the ones that I can turn to and say, hey, help me here, right? But there's a connection there, and that connection is made, and as that connection is made, that's what drives me to love being there. So when we start to look at it, what does inspiration cost? Why do we need inspiration in where we are and what we want to be? Inspiration is what's going to drive us. It's going to drive us to want new possibilities. It's going to drive us and propel people to want to do things, including going out and helping others. If I don't feel inspired in the organization I'm in, does that reflect on our patients? Sure, it can. Right? If I walk in the door at the beginning of a shift and everybody's just angry around me, how am I getting into the ambulance? Probably a little bit less than ideal. But if I walk in and it's like amazing and everybody's positive and somebody baked cookies before I got there, and so I'm starting off with some sugar, I got Heather smiling at me right from the station's window, I'm happy, I'm ready to go, right? But that can all change if you're not inspired. So the question becomes, what inspires you? And how does it drive? It's an emotional experience when I feel engaged. It's that ability to turn and say, I want to do more. I want to help more. How can I change something? How can I move something forward? This is my inspiration, by the way. This is my 7-year-old now. This was last year, junior paramedic Jet. By the way, he's in my old Hackensack uniform. And it was Community Helper Day at school. And he comes to me and he goes, Papa? I said, yeah, bud. He goes, I want to be a paramedic today. So off the bat, I was like, oh my God, we won over police and fire. Yes, right? And he's like, but I don't have a costume to be a paramedic. And I said, oh, we can fix that problem, right? So we go downstairs and there's a little police outfit and I'm like, oh, I can change this. I'll throw like a patch on it. Little guy didn't fit into it. He couldn't even button the shirt anymore. And I said, okay, we can still solve this. And so we get it and I go get my paramedic shirt and I put it on him and it's down to here. And he's like, his inspiration just went out. He's like, Papa, it's too big. I said, buddy, that's what they make trauma shears for. So off we went, we cut the shirt, right? Luckily, same last name, worked perfectly. And he said, I need a bag. I said, we can get you a bag. We get him a bag. We get him a little hat. He had the biggest grin on his face. You could see it. He was so happy to be a paramedic. And I was so happy because he was inspired to be a paramedic. And he inspired me to make him a paramedic costume. It was like one of the proudest Papa moments I've had in my lifetime. And this is him walking into school. I drove him to school that day because I'm so excited. But this is what inspiration is about, right? It's overcoming challenges. Here's a person who turned and said, I don't have anything. And we turned and said, we can solve that problem. Trauma shear solves everything, right? And off we went to school. So let's talk about that culture for a second. Organizational culture, right? Everybody here, your organization, the culture's perfect in it, right? Anyone? Anyone? Show one hand, maybe? No. All right, so we all have a little bit of room. So what is organizational culture? And it's important to kind of understand that part first. It's a set of values, beliefs, and attitudes, systems, and rules that outline and influence staff behavior within an organization. Sounds like a bunch of fluff, but it's true. It's that culture that you set up. It's a culture that we all set up. It starts sometimes with the station that we walk into, the trucks that we drive, the uniforms that we wear. All these things play into what that culture looks like. And it's up to you to determine what you want the culture of your organization to be. Now, some of you are going to turn and say, but I don't control the culture in my organization. I would say, you're wrong. Say, I'm not in a position to control the culture in my organization. She's nodding her head. Yes, you can. Why? Because you can. You can show up every day, whether you're line staff or the chief of department, and create the culture. Line staff or the chief of department, you walk in every day and you're like, ugh, y'all suck. Now I'm here too. You think people are going to gravitate towards you? Probably not. They're going to look at the schedule and go, crap, I'm with them. You walk in, you're like, hey, how are ya? Some people might not gravitate to you because they're going to be like 12 hours on a truck with that much energy is a lot. But you're setting that positive atmosphere, right? You're looking at it. And so setting your organizational culture is important. There are different ways to set it. So we talk about some of the things. We talk about engagement. Does your organization engage you? Or does your organization just turn and say, good, show up. This is your shift. We appreciate you being here. Here's a t-shirt. Right? I was just in the back, and I don't know, I apologize, I don't know what squad or agency you're with, but the back row there, they're all wearing matching shirts. And is it Peggy or Paula or Peggy? Woo! Peggy turns and she's like, all right, everybody lean forward. We're going to take a group picture. So, of course, I did. Do you want me to take a picture for you? Now, what she doesn't know is in the process of taking a picture, I also took a selfie with her group. Why? Because you can. But is that creating a culture? Right? So if you're turning and saying, this is awesome, we're all going to wear matching shirts, and we're going to take a picture of it, and we're going to capture the moment, you're creating a culture. You're engaging the people who you're with. That's engagement. That's creating culture. You talk about a team approach. You talk about group huddles. How does your shift start? Does your shift start by show up at the window, take your bag, get in a truck, go 89? Sorry, for anybody from the New York side, 89 means go sit on a street corner. Do you have a huddle? Do you come together in the beginning of your shift and say, hey, we're all here, this is good, let's talk for 15 minutes, maybe we're going to do a quick training, we're going to talk about a new piece of equipment, whatever that might look like. Those things breed culture, breeds open communication. I don't know if anybody's ever seen one of these. These are the idea boards. So the idea boards are, here's a new idea, here's an in-process, completed, or parked. These are amazing for an institution because what it does is it engages everybody in your organization to have a voice. And so anybody in an organization can take an idea, put it on a sticky, put it on the board. The goal is to move some of those forward with the understanding of everybody that they all can't move forward. There's just not enough in a day. Maybe it's financially not possible. Maybe it's not something else. But as you move things forward, it starts to show, oh my God, they listened. Oh my God, I was able to share an idea. I didn't have to stand up in front of a crowd because some of our people don't want to stand up in a crowd. Me, you put me in front of 1,000 people, great, sounds wonderful. You know, you put another person in front of 10 people, they're like, idea. And that's as much as is going to come out of them. So it gives that idea. It gives the ability to have a voice. Not only does it give the ability to have a voice, but it gives the ability to show, look, there's moving things. It also has a last one that says parked. What the hell's the parked one? The parked one sometimes is, if it's in that new idea and there's a real obstacle to it, they might move it to parked. It doesn't mean gone. It doesn't mean it's a bad idea. It just means we can't do it right now. It's just not feasible for some reason. We look at the top, and I intentionally put the military in this one. You talk about teamwork, military's got it down pat. You can't get a better team than the military. You can't get a better partner most of the time on the street than a person who's in the military. Why? Because they understand teamwork. They understand this is how stuff gets done. This is how we work collaboratively. And so when I was putting this together and we talk about teamwork, I was like, this is the epitome of it. By the way, for anybody in here who's a member of service, thank you for your service. I truly appreciate it. When we talk about inspiration, we talk about what does your building look like? How inspiring is it? So if we, do I have it? Oh, I do have a little thing. Huh. So if we look at this, if I pulled up to a station, this is what I looked at, how inspiring is that? I'm like, great, I'm here. Now, I may be in rural America or even a local town in Jersey, and this is all we can afford. That's the best that we got. Okay, that's what we got to deal with. You pull up to this one, what does this look like? Woohoo! Not only does it look like that, but it looks like, wow, those floors are really clean. right? They're bright. It's a positive colors. Take a minute and think about where you walk into, where you work, where you practice, where you volunteer, where you get paid. Doesn't make a difference. What does your building look like? And does it drive inspiration? If it does, awesome. If it doesn't, that's okay. What is one thing you can do to change that inspiration? Can you paint a floor? By the way, those blue floors, they look amazing. They're not expensive. And they're getting cheaper and cheaper as you can do it at home. But does it change the culture? Does painting a floor change a culture? Sure. Why? Because it's clean, it's crisp. What else does it do? Looks professional when I walk in, right? Here I am. I look professional. Off I go. What? An investment. What a novel concept. That sounds inspirational. What's the culture? If I look at the culture here, and again, I'm not trying to pick on this way, if I look at the culture here, and I look and turn and say, oh, it's a little dark, and that's it, and okay, versus here, I'm betting I'm going to walk into this one, and the culture is going to be a little bit different. Let's talk about this one for a second. So this is my buddy Wes. He's from Austin Travis EMS. I apologize, it wasn't the best picture. It was him giving a video of the brand new fire EMS station in Austin Travis County. What's inspiring about that picture is a brand new station of yours, just opened. Any idea? They have an outdoor area with 2 picnic tables and sand underneath it. You can't tell that part from the picture. And little thing going on above, and I'm just like, are you kidding me? It's like a multi-million-dollar station. But they got down to such details as they said, our guys are here for 24 hours a day. We want to make it someplace where they're comfortable. They turned, and you can go and watch the YouTube video, just Google Austin Travis County new station. It's incredible. But they go down to everything and they say, well, we wanted to be able to have larger spaces where we can have dinners and lunches and meals with fire and EMS together. And so their inspiration was, how do we make our people more comfortable? What does that do right there alone? Who are they thinking of? They're people. The people who are going to come in every day. By the way, can any of you go and put a picnic table out back? Sure. Does it cost a lot? No. These are the types of things that we can do. It doesn't have to cost a lot to get there. And EMS is at a pivotal point. EMS is at a turning point in what we do and where we're going. We're expanding the scope of practice at almost all levels. For BLS providers, we're really taking things to another level. We're adding eye gels and adjuncts and medications and check and inject. And maybe not all those are here in Jersey, but as they start to expand in other states and nationally, they'll eventually come here. The same way Jersey is doing things that we're seeing now roll out in other states, like buprenorphine and other programs that are unique to being here. Providers are going from being certified to licensed. Does that really change anything? If I'm a certified paramedic today and I'm a paramedic, licensed paramedic tomorrow, does that change the job I do? Not that much. What does it do? Raises us in the healthcare world, right? EMTs, paramedics, you're doing the job of what other healthcare professionals are due. And now you're starting to get respected for that as well as we take steps forward to moving it. We're bringing in community paramedicine. We're bringing in advanced practice paramedics. We'll talk about that one a little bit later too. Advanced practice paramedics where master's degree, there's a suggestion from the Federal Advisory Board to have a master's level advanced practice paramedic that would be equivalent to a PA or an NP. No more coming into the field and saying, yep, I did my time and now I'm going to become a nurse. I'm going to become a PA. Why? Because I need a change. Why not take that talent and keep it in EMS or let people expand on being a paramedic? Inspirational air. This is what we hope you walk away with today. Inspirational air. So I have 2 boys, 5 years old and 7 years old. My 7-year-old you already saw. My 5-year-old, if you ever meet my 5-year-old, just tell him there was a picture of him in here too, okay? Get very upset. So I'm with my 5-year-old, and he turns to me and says, Papa, I think you need to breathe. I was like, I'm sorry, bud. And his nickname is Peanut. And he goes, yeah, I think you need to breathe. I think we need to do some rainbow breathing. He's a little like this, right? So I'll bring it down. I said, okay. So I'd like everybody here to look at your hand. Take your hand and put it out in front of you. Go ahead. I know it's early. Join me for this one because we're going to take the air and we're going to try this. And you're going to put your hand out in front of you. You're going to take your other pointer finger. As we go up, we're going to breathe in. As we go down, we're going to breathe out. Just go in, out, in, out. Only 3 more. Who's ready for a nap? I am. And I looked at him, I'm like, that was pretty good, Peanut. By the way, this whole lecture, you're going to be like, I don't know, he made me breathe halfway through. There were 5 breaths in and out. But what did it do? It calms us down a little bit. Let me tell you something. I probably needed that lesson with some of my partners to be like, oh my God, hold on. I'm getting closer to being able to put up with you. Still there. All right, yeah, close enough. Let's go. But we're breathing. And we're going to talk about inspirational air. And that inspirational air that I hope you walk away with today is inspirational air for your organization. We're going to talk about awareness, introduction, and retention. And you need the 3 in order to have a successful organization. You can have an organization function, you can get through day to day without them, but if you want to grow, if you want to inspire, if you want to solve some of the problems that you're dealing with every day, take that hand, put it out, breathe a little bit, start thinking how you're going to do something fresh. This is your restart. So let's talk about awareness. What's your community image? What's it look like? If you look out at your community, or should I say, if your community is looking in at you, what do they think about you? What's forward-facing? Do you engage your community? Let's think about that one for a second. What's forward-facing? How many of you, by show of hands, think you have a modern, forward-facing, amazing website? Whew, okay, that was less than I thought. We got a lot of opportunity going on here today. How many of you think you have a positive environment with your community? Okay, a little bit better. That's pretty good. We need to start thinking again. And we think about this, oh, website's not that important, right? Your website drives your image. When somebody is thinking about joining, when someone is thinking about becoming a part of your organization, when a community member is turning and saying, who are they? What do they do? And why are they always racing past my house with lights and sirens? They're probably looking you up online. Your Facebook page, your Instagram, fill in the blank, whatever it might be. This is your image. We look at Harris County. Harris County is in Texas. And when again, looking at things, and I look at this picture, and you're just like, wow, it's kind of cool, right? I have no idea if Harris County EMS is actually this cool, but they look cool in the picture. We look down, and again, Austin Travis is going to come up a couple times. This one here, and I don't know if you can read it or not, but it says, you care for the community, we care for you. That's their recruiting campaign. Does that sound positive to you? If you got on their recruiting page and it says, they care for me, I care for them, that sounds pretty good, right? That's a positive outside thing. Opposed to, in my hometown, not my volunteer agency, the agency next to me, right? It says, we need volunteers, call today. Whew, yeah, sounds like a place I want to be. Sound pretty desperate. Right? So what can we do to change that image? What can we do to make your story attractive? What can we do to make it look like that community that's up there? It says, hey, we're all part of the community. This is the role I do in the community. We want you in our community to come work with us in our community. Community awareness. Right now, could you think of one thing you can do with your organization that would be a positive community outreach? Just one. You don't have to tell me. Could you think of one thing? If you can't, come see me after. I promise you we can work together and figure out one thing you can do. It's not going to change overnight. So we talk about that air. We talk about awareness. What's the image you want to drive? This is Wake County, North Carolina. South Carolina? North Carolina. And this is one of their outreach things. You see them doing Stop the Bleed, you see them doing car seat things, you see them, they have a social media that is incredible. They're highlighting on all the positive stuff you do. And let me tell you something, I watch what goes on in our community. I watch what we do as EMS. We do amazing stuff, amazing outreach. Where do we fall short? What? Awareness. Sharing that story. We're doing it most of the time. We're just not sharing it. How many of you can think of the person in your organization who should be your outreach coordinator? Probably looks like this. Hello! Right? Like it's the one, you can think of it in your head. You probably can also think of the one person who shouldn't be your outreach coordinator. That's okay. Everybody has their role. But think about who that person is. Think about like, hey, do I need to get something? Over my time in doing outreach and things like that, I have a little puppet. It's a monster. His name is Paramedic Pete. He comes with me to all my schools. He's a little orange thing. Let me tell you something. 6 months later, they don't remember me, but I can show up and be like, you were with Paramedic Pete. And I was like, yes, I was. You have any idea what my name is? No. Okay. But they remember Paramedic Pete. You look at this organization, you look at their social media, and you look at diversity, right? You can drive what that looks like in an organization just from your social media. This is awareness. This is outreach. But it takes effort. It takes a little bit of time. But it pays off in the end. We talk about how do you get awareness? How do you get out there? So, of course, we had to put some Jersey love in here with some task force. And part of the reason why I put this in is because when I was looking at, when I pull up New Jersey EMS task force, right? And I look at every picture of the cicalas, right? It's just everywhere. Like every picture, one of the two of them is in there. But when you look at it, they're like, this is special because it's not just another picture. It's a picture with electeds. Why is it important to have a picture with electeds? Because we don't want to look at the cicalas again. No, because it's important because in that picture, they want to be a part of that story. And as they're a part of that story, they start to know more about you. And as they start to think about the next grant that's coming up, they're thinking more about you. And they're saying, hold on, I have an idea. But you turn and say, well, we're such a small squad. We're such a small agency. No one's going to want to come to our thing. Not true. Maybe you start at a local level. Maybe it's a town official, a county official, or something else. And you turn and say, we're doing a Stop the Bleed class. We would love for you to come and be a part of it. It will take you 15 minutes. We'd like a little photo op. We want to show you how to do Stop the Bleed, and we want you to do it with your community members. You think they're showing up? Yeah. You think it's hard to get them? Not that hard. Maybe they can't show up the first time. Maybe something comes up or something along the lines. But overall, they're there. You talk about award ceremonies. You talk about the press. Go call your local paper. Forget about the big ones. Figure out the Spectrum one. Figure out the something else and turn and say, we want to do something for you. What are you looking for? Spectrum one's going to turn and say, I don't know. What are we looking for? You say, well, we're doing a Stop the Bleed program. How about you come for that? I say, maybe. Got anything else? We're doing an Narcan training. What about that one? I don't know. We're doing a community high school program. Now we're talking. Whatever it is, you can find what they're looking for an article, what they know is going to sell for them. But it takes a little bit of effort. But it doesn't take a lot of effort. And again, the bulk of us, we're doing the effort as it is already. So this one, when we were looking at those things, this down here, this is Sunstar Paramedics. They're out of Florida. But what I loved was when you click on their website, when I went to the website and you click on it, it's like experience, passion, commitment, and an immediate engagement. Click here to learn more, click here to apply. This one I love because it was the annual report. Do you produce, anybody here produce an annual report? One? Have you always produced an annual report? Do you like your annual report? Why do you produce it? It's a lot of work, so why do you do it? For the community, right? We're giving something back. You can do a 2-page annual report. You don't have to do 20 pages. Sometimes it looks nicer as 20, but you don't have to. You go Google EMS community reports, find the report you like, and duplicate it. I don't call that stealing. I call that borrowing with pride. They did a great job. You're just using them as a role model. But what I love about this top one, which is for Kings County, is to the Kings County Council. Who's that going to? the electeds. Why? Keep them informed, right? I want them to know what's going on here. Why do I want them to know what's going on? Because I want to inspire them to do what? Give me money. Right? I want to do cool things, but in order to do cool things, it costs something. In order to cost something, I need you to pay something. But I'm going to give you lots of good things to be able to bring back to the other side. Here's another one. This annual report just talked about their clinical core measures. That's it. When it's their hey, here's what we're doing. Here's the outcomes. Here's how we're making a difference for you. When we talk about that awareness, we're talking about that air. We talk about what brings that next generation in. What are they looking for? Because I promise you, if you show them the picture of the street corner with my knees hugged up to here and trying to like kind of sleep with this, that's probably not the image they're looking for. But if I look at the table, right, I look at the fire department, they're all eating a meal together. We look at the community CPR, the activities together. We look at the teamwork and everybody on top of the ambulance. If I look at that, I go, that looks like a pretty fun organization. I think I want to know more. Why? Because the awareness that's there, the image that's bringing out there, the air that we're bringing in, the inspirational air, is one that shows we're family, we're opportunity, we're growth, we're going to teach you things. This is the place you want to be. When we promote our image, where do we promote it? How many of you have a great place to promote your image? Anyone? I don't understand why I'm not getting any new members. Well, what have you tried? Well, yeah, that's it. Or I did a flyer. It was on my Facebook page. Well, if they're not in EMS, and they don't know anything about EMS, are they following your Facebook page? Probably not. So start thinking outside the box of where you can go. Can you go to a sports complex and set up a table? Can you go to specialty gyms like an Orange Theory or a CrossFit? Like, these are the people I need to lift patients, because I'm getting older. Someone walks in from CrossFit, I'm here to lift. Awesome. Right? If I can go to one of these places, a karate, and by the way, think outside the box, a PTA meeting. And I say, I'd like to come in and teach Stop the Bleed for you. Especially CrossFit, right? Like, someone's bound to get hurt there. I'd like to come in. Just set up a table out front. Is that okay with you? Sure. You come in, set up the table, maybe hands-free CPR, maybe Stop the Bleed, maybe Narcan, whatever it might be, maybe all three. What does that do? It gives you the opportunity to do what? It's 8 a.m., isn't it? Start the conversation. If I can start the conversation, even if I walk away with one person who I can get to come do a ride-along, that's a win-win. We're doing great. We talk about that engagement. If I can get their engagement from here and I can bring it to the next level, this is where it starts to happen. We talk about this first engagement, Stop the Bleed, Narcan, school experience, the back row, all in matching shirts, right? Show them what that community looks like. Then comes the introduction. We're moving from the A to the I. They show up on that first day. They're excited. They ring the doorbell. You open the door. What's normally the first thing that happens? Who are you here to see? I'm getting off night shift. She's not here yet. Right? First, someone there to welcome you. Hey, how are you? Come on in. My name's Heather. I'm with Robert Johnson. I'm here to help you. By the way, Heather's right up front. Known her for a lot of years. She's amazing. But Heather walks up to you with that smile, that energy. Is that positive? Yeah, that's what I want the first time I walk in. And by the way, and I say, come on in. Let me show you our training center. Let me show you where you're going to be. Let me show you what we got to offer. Let me show you our fancy lazy boys. Right? Is that inspiring? Absolutely. And it's a positive first impression. I can't tell you how many of us fail at a positive first impression. Welcome. We're really happy to have you here. I'd like you to sit through 5 days of a boring orientation. The first lecture by PowerPoint is going to be me, followed by more of me. Right? How do we change that? Let's start. Good morning. I got breakfast for you, some coffee, some tea. We have some administrative things we have to go over. We're going to make this as engaging as possible. But I want to start off with our history first, just a little bit. So this is an agency I saw at one point. This right here is a history wall. Their building is 3 levels, and as you go up the flight of stairs, each level is 10 years of their organization. So one wall is 10 years, next wall is 10 years, 10 years. And when I turned to them, I said, what did that cost? They turned to me, they're like, less than $1,000. I was like, are you kidding me? They're like, nope, that included the graphic designer to make the wall. And you walk up the wall and you learn the history. I wasn't a member of this organization, I was just visiting them. And I was like, this is incredible. I know your whole story now. I was engaged. I would love to know that story. I love going into hospitals and like you walk the basement and they have the giant pictures in black and white on the wall and shows like the first ambulance by horse, you know, and you're just like, this is cool stuff. I'm part of a culture. I'm part of an organization that's been around way longer than I have. But what is your first impression? How do you get there? You talk about that first impression. You talk about, okay, great. I will tell you flat out, my volunteer organization went flip-pump this summer. We had a brand new paramedic that came on board. He was a paramedic with our organization a couple of years back. He came back to being a paramedic with us, and he came on, got voted back in. They said, okay, you're good, go ahead. And he's like, anyone gonna show me the new equipment? Nope. So we changed that quickly. We fixed it. We saw an opportunity, right? There's an opportunity to change. That first introduction, that ability to feel comfortable, that ability to have a mentor, that ability to go through a field training program, that ability to have a task book. This is the California task book for Cal Fire. The ability to turn and say, here's a checklist of things, because we don't want to forget to show you something. We're not trying to make your life difficult. We're not trying to judge you or have you. We want you to have that positive first environment. We want you to go through FACPE. We want you to have it. You turn and say, but our department's so small, we can't afford to do that. Make a checklist to start off. Have something that turns and says, we're going to work on this together. Whatever you need, whatever we need, we're going to do it together. You have that opportunity to set that introduction. We talk about field training programs. Again, setting people up for success, not an expectation that they just know everything walking in the door. As we talk about that introduction, we talk about, and even simple things, just going back to this one for 1 second, you talk about this one. If you walk into my current organization, everybody, when they walk in, they get a welcome kit. It's a backpack, a mug, a t-shirt, I think like a keychain charger, something else. They get swag. Why do they get swag? Buy-in. I want you to feel from the moment you walk in that you're part of the team, right? I want you to feel like, hey, we really appreciate you being here. I can't give you everything under the sun. I can't necessarily get you all the time to the salary that you want to be at, but I can make you feel included and truly feel it. We talk about that introduction. We talk about EMS agency internships. How many people here have an internship program in their organization? Couple. Nice. By the way, this is an amazing opportunity to do an introduction. They may not even be members of your organization. You turn and set up an internship program for your local college, your high school, or something. You're building someone's resume, and they're going to do a project for you that you otherwise didn't have the ability to do. That's huge. My organization right now, we have interns and we have fellows. Our interns are non-paid, normally college students. Our fellows are normally college grads who are paid position. We're fortunate enough to be able to have that. They do massive projects for us. Our interns this summer, the work that they did were incredible. One of them did our annual report. I highly recommend you have one do your annual report. Maybe take some of the work off of you over there. But there's opportunity there. You talk about an Explorer program. Yes, it takes work. I started as a junior fireman. I was 12 years old. I was in 7th grade. A friend walks up to me and goes, hey, you want to go to a junior fire department meeting? I said, when is it? He goes, Friday night. Looked at my social schedule. I'm free. Yes. That was it. Downhill ever since. No. That's how I got into this. Someone asked me in 7th grade if I wanted to go to a junior fire department meeting. If you hook it on early and you get that spark, you really can drive things. But today's generation, different than past generations. They want more. They want something. They want something they can put on their resume. They want something they can show. And that's okay. That's not a bad thing. Let's create that for them so we can engage them and keep them going. Then we talk about the R. The R in the air is some of the most important, right? So when we think about it, our hands go, that's pretty quick, we're gonna go out. Every time you breathe in, bring them in, this is the retention. If you don't focus on your retention, you're just gonna be constantly turning over. It is less effort to focus on your retention. You need to engage. You need to innovate. You need to figure out what it is that your team is looking for. What's the inspirational air and what's going to keep them there? I will tell you overall, EMS doesn't do a great job at retention. We see it in our turnover. We see it in people leaving the field. Some of it positive, right? Some people are leaving for other things. This was a stepping stone. That's okay. But there's a lot of opportunity to maintain and retain people even beyond that. We don't have to have everybody leave. We talk about retention. We talk about communications. We talk about some simple things and opportunities that we don't see otherwise. How many people here have ever been part of a poster competition, a research program? Few hands. Yet these are some of the most simple things, and then you have the ability to look and say, in my professional career, I've done 5 research projects. I've submitted to 2 national programs. It doesn't matter whether or not you win or not, because you still were that person who had the ability to enter a national competition or even a state competition. How many people here are going to be in the sim games? Anyone? Probably all getting ready for sim right now. One hand. These are opportunities. These are things that engage people, though. Think about that professional development. Think about the ability even to come here. Did I engage people to come here? Did I engage people to turn and say, you know what? If you're an officer in an organization, you get to go to the New Jersey EMS conference every year. That's engaging. It's a little bit of a give back. It's a little bit of, hey, this seems worthwhile. We need to think of things different. We need to create opportunities. And that's not always easy in EMS. If you look at your organization right now, what do you think your ratio of leadership position to provider is? Best guess, 1 to what? 1 to 50? Ooh. Unfortunately, probably accurate. What else? 1 to 10? Anyone else? Normally in EMS, we see about 1 to 10 to 1 to 20. What's fire? 1 to 2, 1 to 4, right? Because if I'm on the truck, I was a volunteer fireman for 20 years. If I'm on that truck, someone's got to sit in the officer's seat, and there's 3 people behind me, my ratio is not bad. But even more than the ratio not being bad, that means there's opportunity to move up. There's opportunity to advance. We need to, in EMS, create those opportunities. We need to create field training positions. We need to create some leadership positions. We need to create quality assurance officers or instructors, and then give them the training to do it. Not just be like, here's a gold badge, good luck. I'll let you know when you mess up. Instead, we need to be in a place where we're going to say, who's interested in quality? Who's interested in statistics or data analysis? I'm going to teach you how to use Tableau. I'm going to take you and figure out how to do a pivot table on Excel. Might not sound that exciting to you. Once you get to do it, they're really fun. But it gives you the opportunity to learn a skill that maybe you'll use in the profession, but also outside of here. Those are creating opportunities. They're engaging. That's what's creating retention. This is Northwell Health. Northwell Health is a large provider. It's the Hackensack or the Robert Wood of New York. And what I love about them is they put these up all the time. And they don't just turn and say, hiring for a nurse specialist. They say, hey, we're hiring for a nurse specialist. Look at what Christian did. In 2010, he was a paramedic. In 2014, he became a paramedic supervisor. In 2016, he was a manager. In 2018, he was administrative director. In 2021, he became the assistant vice president. What does this show? Growth. It shows an organization that wants you to succeed. Now, I will tell you, this one actually showed like some significant ones. I've seen some that like every 2 years they were moving like, you're a paramedic, to a senior paramedic, to a super senior paramedic, to the senior super senior paramedic. I was like, I don't know about this one. But you know what they did? They gave him an opportunity to advance. His LinkedIn profile probably showed each one of those super senior ones. And that's good, because every 2 or 3 years, having that opportunity to advance, having to be able to show others that you're advancing, that's engaging. When they put this up there, that's engaging. You turn and say, can you have a fellowship program in your organization? You can. I don't care what size your organization is. Fellows don't have to be paid. They can if they're an opportunity. You have a lot of colleges in New Jersey that they have to do internships. They have to do externships. They have to do projects or capstones. Take advantage of that and turn and say, I want to bring that into our organization. What do we need in the organization, and how can we partner here? How can we make that happen? Send people to conferences. Ask people what they want to go to. Think outside the box. It may not be an EMS conference. It may be the HIMSS conference. The HIMSS conference is the Health Information and Technology Conference. It's incredible, extremely expensive, but really, really cool if you're into health information. Talk about creating those opportunities. Maybe it's simple as the NEMSWA credentialing process and becoming a credentialed EMS officer, becoming a supervising officer, a managing officer. I look at different people who come up to me after and they'll say, well, how do I become that? I don't know if I could become a credentialed officer. Step one, supervisor, it's really realistic. Why? Because it's about getting ready for a position in some cases. And then that helps you move forward. But when your organization helps you do it, that also shows your organization cares about you and they want you to move forward. Create networking events. Do something as a county level. Say, hey, we're going to bring in all organizations. Whoa, we can't possibly do that. We're Robert Wood, and we're Hackensack. We don't like you, but we'll work with you, right? It's time to come together. Because when the crap hits the fan, we're all together anyway. This is a leadership ladder at one of my old organizations. We were actually just talking about it right before. We were a very flat thing. You basically had to wait for someone to what in order to move up? Die, right? If you say that off the bat, you got some room for improvement in your organization. By the way, it's not uncommon. This is what happens. It's where we're at. But we changed it, and we turned and said, okay, how do we do this? How do we almost mimic a little bit of Northwell did? And we went from EMTs to senior EMTs, from senior EMTs to FTOs, from FTOs to training sergeants. The light blue, everybody's on a truck. They only come off of a truck in order to do a specialized task. We also then turned and added in rank. We learned this from Delaware. Delaware was actually the place where we sold it. Again, borrowed with pride, their model. So if you were a senior EMT or a senior paramedic, you got a single chevron. If you were a field training officer, you got corporal stripes. If you were a training sergeant, you got sergeant stripes. We were told, oh, you can't possibly do that. People, they'll quit. What do you think happened? Did they quit? No. People apply for jobs? Yeah, absolutely. They feel pride in what they wore? 100%. Now, maybe that fits into your organization, maybe it doesn't. Maybe it's as simple as having the titles and you do something different. It's a service bar, it's something else to recognize them on who they are. But what we did was create opportunity. We then, again, the dark blue was the ones where you came off the truck, and when you came off the truck, you were a lieutenant or a captain. We also had two tracks. We had a clinical track and we had an operational track. Why? Some people don't want to be operational. Some people aren't looking. There are instructors. They're different. They're a different breed. They're not looking to turn and say, I don't want to make a schedule. I don't want to do this. I'll do a pivot chart. I'll crush Tableau. Create those opportunities that are different for different people in order to engage them. When you talk about that retention, create the environment that they want to be at. You look at one of the organizations, and they got that ability to write top workplaces in 2022 with Times Union. Rock on. I don't know what got them there, but I'll tell you, I'll look twice just because they had it. You talk about retraining, you talk about networking, you talk about fulfillment, opportunities. How many of those on that one could you turn and say your organization's doing? But you can if you're not. Check off one extra sign. Start slow. Don't try and take it all on at one shot. We talk about that resume. Your volunteer or career organization can make someone's resume look amazing. You just got to give them the opportunity to make it look amazing. And it's not just the clinical position that they're doing, it's anything else that they can do. It's that ability to say, I was the special project coordinator for the super, super secret special project. I was the scheduling coordinator. I was the, fill in the blank. Whatever it is the need of your organization might be, that's what you're looking for. That's what you want to get to. Create that opportunity so that they want to be there. When we talk about that retention, we talk about technology and research and innovation. We spoke about the resume being up there. Solve a problem, create new software. Create something you turn and say, I can't create new software. BS, sure you can. Figure out the problem. For my volunteer corps, We couldn't afford to do something one, so I wrote the code, or had worked with the team to write the code to create essentially a responding software. And it sent out an alert to where it turned, and our problem was we had software where we'd get a text, but people would turn and say, well, I don't hear the text, and it goes off, and then I'm not able to get the call, so what happens? So we use a software called Twilio. It's super simple. Anytime I would send the text to Twilio, it would call all of my members' phones. So instead of just getting a text message, it literally would ring, and then you'd get an automated voice reading you the text message. By the way, you didn't have to listen to the automated voice. You could just turn and say, oh, time to look at my text messages. And you look down, and there it was. Increased our response times like by double, or responders by like double. Why? Because they heard the call in a timely manner. You talk about research posters. You talk about community paramedicine programs. You talk about building someone's resume. They want that opportunity to build the resume. They want the opportunity to turn and say, what is it? How do I separate myself from something different? How do I create an EMS bike team? How do I do something different? How do I turn and fill a void? Or maybe in some cases just find something that people are like, this is kind of cool. This is what's going to engage me and keep me here, right? I like riding a bicycle. I look good in that outfit. Maybe not. Don't all think of what I look like right now in spandex on a bicycle. Not a good picture. But seriously, think about what it is. We think about retention. We think about advancing our profession. What are we doing? So right up here, this is what I was talking about before. The NEMSAC, which is the National Advisory Board for the federal government for EMS, made up of national leaders, just came out about 2 months ago with an advisory paper that says we should consider making a master's level paramedicine level that would be an advanced practice paramedic, that would be equivalent to an NP or a PA, that would be able to prescribe medications, that would be able to treat patients. It'd be all these different things. Good idea? Sure. By the way, a lot of pushback against it. That's okay too. If we don't start pushing the envelope on where we are and where we want to go, then we're never going to continue to advance. So whether this program goes anywhere or not, they're thinking outside the box. They're looking at the future. They're looking at ourselves and saying, we know people are leaving to become PAs, to become nurses, to become all these other things. Well, why are they leaving? How do I keep them in? How do I keep them engaged? How do I keep them here? We look at, this one's up on EMS.gov, where we were in the past 50 years of being here, how we got here. These are the things. Well, what is it going to look like? What does that 2050 plan look like? We look at retention. We talk about focusing on our providers. We talk about creating that image, looking at new things. When I look at these images of these 3 different organizations, they look professional, right? On my volunteer, when I show up to my paid job, when I worked up in Jersey City, I showed up in uniform every day, right? We all looked the same. It looked incredible, right? Here we are, group act, go in it. When I show up in my volley, I live in a beach town. I had flip-flops on and shorts and a t-shirt until my volley turned and said, this is not the image we want. Instead, we all got jumpsuits. So when you showed up, you put on your jumpsuit, we went on our call, now we all look together. We look professional, we look the image that we want to perceive our community to think of us on. Look at the opportunities. Look at the opportunities to advance your agency. Look at the opportunities to advance your providers. Look at the opportunities to create positive patient outcomes. Think of that inspirational air. Think of the awareness. Think of the introduction. Think of the retention. If nothing else, if you walk away from, think of one thing in each of those categories that you think you can bring back to your organization. If those 3 things are too much, just think of one and figure out how you can do that and bring it forward. You have the opportunity to take that inspirational air back to your organization. Because when you take that inspirational air back to your organization, you're not only improving your organization, you're improving the system. You're improving New Jersey EMS. You're improving the patient care, the outcomes, and who we are, as well as who wants to come into our profession. If we don't have the inspirational air in our profession, people are going to more and more turn and say, I can go work at Wawa for more money than this. I can fill in the blank, do something else. But if they feel that inspirational air, if they feel that welcome, if they see that and they want to engage, they're going to want to come here. When we talk about that inspirational air, and we talk about the retention, and we talk about what we love, I'm going to bet that the bulk of the people in this room love what they do, at least on most days. I can tell you for me, I love what I do. I've had a great career. I've had a great time doing. Hands down, some of my favorite moments are on the truck. Hands down, one of my favorite moments to work, last name's Greenberg, pretty much required to work Christmas every day, every year, is to break out my bag of Christmas hats. And there I go, off the truck, and so this is me with some of my partners with my Christmas lights. My super long Christmas hat, that's like my favorite one out there. But I come in and I love doing what I do. I love being where I want to be. Have fun, make an impact, love what you do, and take some of that inspirational air with you through this conference, when you leave today, hopefully back to your organization. This is my email that's up there. One of the best ways to get me is actually on LinkedIn. Feel free to chat me. Feel free to find me at any point. I'm here until Saturday. If I can help in any way in helping you with some of your inspirational air, that's what I'm looking forward to. Thanks for spending 8 a.m. with me. I hope you have a great conference, and talk to you soon. Candace, do you come back up? You're good to go. Have a great conference, everyone. Thanks so much.